Welcome to another episode of The Unconditioned Life with me, Linda Downey. If you're ready to leave the stress and the pain of your past so that you can create a joyful and vibrant life for your future, then you are in the right place. Subscribe, follow, and enjoy the episode. Hey, Happy New Year, Monday, January 2nd. How are you? I've seen so many posts from the people that are in my orbit on all the social media places, and it looks like people had really wonderful holidays. I hope that's you. I know it's not the case for everyone, so whatever it was that you were doing, the conversation of getting into this new year, I think is pertinent for all of us, right? So I want to share a little bit about my new year, and then I want to dive into what I think makes a huge difference in creating whatever it is, the next year, the next month of your life, the following years, any of that, right? So, but before I do that, my New Year's, actually Christmas Eve and New Year's this past weekend, both included my ex-husband and included him in a way that would not have happened a few years back. So for those of you who are not in my personal life, but you're watching from some other places, just a little bit of a background. My ex-husband and I, my ex-husband was having an affair for a big chunk of our marriage. And I knew about it for a long time, but we have two children together, and my daughter passed away a few years ago, but my daughter was very medically fragile and needed a lot of care. And my capacity to deal with that and my son and to deal with his affair was bigger than me at the time. So it kind of just was this thing that was there and present. And then really when my daughter passed away, it allowed like all of that to unfold. But there was a time when my anger about that and my all of the things that you might imagine, the betrayal, the sadness, the hurt, would have stopped me and us from having any time together. It stopped us from having time together in our marriage. A lot of the things that I'm going to share with you today about how do you create what you want. Because the truth is, what I want is to be happy in my heart. And what I want is for my son to feel happy in his heart, to feel like he can be free with either parent. And what I really want is to be in my life without holding that anger and the pain from that time period. So that's the background. And on Christmas Eve, my ex-husband's name is Mike. Mike came over and the three of us had Christmas Eve together. We had Christmas Eve dinner together. We spent time together. My son is 20. So it's not like he's a little boy and doesn't know what's going on at all, but he's a grown-up, but it still is important to him. And it was important to us. So we did that Christmas Eve. And then this weekend, yesterday, New Year's Day, he also came over, and he came over with his little boy. And that little boy was conceived during the affair while we were still very much married. Before my daughter passed away, she was still alive, and he had this little boy. And he brought his son over with him because that's the place where we are able to operate now. That's the place where we can create our family from a new perspective. And I'm really, really thankful that we have that ability to do that. And I love seeing his son. His son is 5 years old. And I love seeing him. He reminds me of my son when he was little. Hi, Jody. Yeah. So Jody's saying the epitome of forgiveness and love, and it really is. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, because the forgiveness piece and the love piece are both critical for creating the life that you want. When it's anger, unforgiveness, resentment, everything but love, you're really stuck where you were. And I was stuck there for a really long time. So for me in my life and then in the way that I work with my clients, getting complete on all of that, really completing um, healing. It is healing, and you can heal from whatever trauma. I'm going to call it trauma. That was certainly trauma, but it actually came from earlier trauma because we wouldn't have made the choices and done the behaviors of our marriage if the earlier trauma had been healed, the trauma from childhood, the trauma, both of us had stuff from childhood that we brought into our marriage. And then we tried to operate in a marriage on top of it. And that doesn't work. And it doesn't work in any part of your life that you're looking to create. If you're trying to create something, anything on top of your past, when the past is still very much a wound for you, when the immediate feelings, as soon as you think of that person or you see them, all that stuff comes up again. That's your clue. That's one of your clues. Jody, who actually said hello a few minutes ago, has been my coach for a long time. And Jody really helped me in my own journey see that and see how I was trying to operate and create something when I hadn't healed that. And so that's what I did myself. And it's what I do with my clients. So how does that look? Because I don't want to take up a ton of your time today, especially if this is your day off and you're just recovering from your holiday. So I'm not going to go in depth into everything, but I want to give you a few important things. Like, how does that look that I complete my past? How does it look that I can actually create from a blank slate instead of creating on top of? And to me, forgiveness is a huge part. Forgiving at a level and a depth, and that always is coming up, like something new to forgive. The work is never done. It's not like I did forgiveness once. In fact, tonight on my client call, with my two of my client groups are going to be on a call with me tonight, and we're going to do probably close to a 2-hour forgiveness work together. Because I think it's so important. Right? It's never one and done, Jody says. So forgiveness, I think, is really critical. And anywhere that you look, people who are talking about really healing will really talk about forgiveness. Another thing that is so important to do is to move those old emotions out of your body. So when I was in the thick of it, especially all of the years that my daughter was super sick, in the hospital, 15 years, we mostly lived in the hospital. We were more in the hospital than out from the night she was born. So talk about survival, right? And my partner was having an affair for most of those years. So I was very much in survival. And so there's a lot of emotions that I never let myself deal with. I just shoved them down. I just did what I had to do. So in addition to forgiving, dealing with those emotions, because you may think they're gone, but if you haven't really dealt with them, they're still in there. They're definitely still in there. We did some work with my clients before Christmas, and two of them said, I thought I dealt with this years ago. I can't believe this is still coming up for me. And I didn't bring it up. Like, she was seeing what there was to still bring up. And she really saw that. And another client said, I've been in therapy for 30 years. We never got to this. And therapy is great for certain things. I am not knocking therapy, but I was in therapy. We were in marriage therapy more than once. It's a different approach that didn't really get me to where I wanted to go. Yeah, so Jody's saying, yes, it's so critical to move the energy out of the body. People don't realize this is where burnout and stress really comes from. Yes, it is. It's absolutely true. When you keep that emotion of anger or fear or resentment, if that is staying in your body, it's like you're still currently stressed. It's like your body's still in fight or flight. It still is. You haven't moved that out. So besides going deep on forgiveness, clearing out the old emotions, another really, really critical part, and this can be, even if you haven't had some of the big circumstances like I have, like I just shared with you, maybe your life has been a little bit more run of the mill, although honestly, whose life is, but maybe you're like, okay, well, I didn't have a daughter that passed, and my marriage didn't go through that, but I promise you, you still have this piece of it. And this piece is understanding the beliefs that you are living your life from, the beliefs that are having you choose where to spend your money, how to take care of people, how important you are or not important you are, what's available in life, like is fun and joy and an abundance of relationship and love, is that available in life? Your belief around relationships in general, are they hard? I just had a client a few weeks ago when we were doing work on beliefs, and she said, relationships are hard. Now, if that's how she feels and that's her belief, they will always be hard. Like, can you see how it's never going to be possible for her to be with ease in relationship as long as that belief is in place. So the beliefs that you're holding around anything, your money, your body, your age, your ability to love, your ability to receive love, your success, doing your purpose in life, all of those, every choice that you make, every behavior that you put in place, in the background, running your show are your beliefs. So I wanted to have that conversation with you today of all days, because a lot of people are starting today creating, okay, what do I want to have happen in 2023? And maybe you're still in the PTSD of COVID. Maybe you're still like reeling from the disconnect of 2 years. Maybe you lost a job during COVID and now you have financial issues. Maybe someone passed. So I'm just picking that one issue of the last couple of years because we all experienced it and we all know how impactful it was. So if you're trying to create your 2023 and you still have all of that in your present, even if you're not thinking about it consciously every moment, but it's still there, you're going to get the same 2023 that you had 2022. You're going to have more of the same feelings in relationships, more of the same results from your diets, your exercise, your investments, whatever it is, it will keep being the same. We call it your predictable, probable future. You're in your predictable, probable future because it's going to be a repeat of your past. It's going to be more of the same. It's going to bring you the same results if you're holding those same beliefs. So let me just recap for you so far, or if you're coming on late, what you need to do to create, whether it's this year or any year, be willing to go deep into forgiveness. And my background is health and wellness, right? I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Forgiveness or unforgiveness is shown that energy, that frequency of that emotion is related to cancer. It's related to autoimmune conditions. So, which is really what got me into this whole area of life, was my own health issues many years ago. So unforgiveness, or being willing to forgive, healing your past and whatever happened in your past, and moving out the emotions that showed up, but you never dealt with them. Maybe you thought you did, but they're still stuck down. That's going to be critical. Addressing your beliefs, and a lot of the beliefs you have no idea about. We know like 5% up here in our head consciously. Everything else is very subconscious. It's very behind the scenes. It's like a puppeteer up in the rafters who's moving your limbs and your strings. So digging out those beliefs and looking at each area of your life is super critical. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to point out, at least in this conversation, is the connection to your spiritual self. Because for me, especially when I was in constant stress, I really always went to my mental self. Like, what do I need to figure out? What do I have to go find out? Where do I educate myself? I was constantly problem solving, like, give me the answer, give me the answer, give me the answer. Where do I go for the answer? Which had me very much up here in my head. And when you're doing that and you're being very intellectual, you're learning a lot, but you're not necessarily pulling it down into your body so that your body and your cells are getting the benefit of what you're learning. I did that for a long time. And again, Jody helped me with that too. And now I help my clients with that because it's critical. It really is. You can learn all you want. You can watch a million webinars. If you don't pull it down into your body and reconnect the spiritual part of yourself. And that's what's so exciting about the time that we live in right now, is that the science and the spirit, the spirituality are being connected. We have the technology to see the effect of the spiritual component in action. We have the ways to measure the energetic frequency. It exists now. It's been being talked about since Jesus. Jesus and every spiritual leader in different philosophies around the world have all talked about this. But we finally have the ability to measure it scientifically and to see the difference. Hey, Courtney, thank you. So getting the spirituality part connected to the intellectual part, connected to the science, bringing the spirituality back is critical. And for a long time for me, I didn't get that. I didn't really understand it because I just kept learning about it. That's why I didn't understand it. I was learning about it, but not feeling it and feeling the difference in my body and putting myself through the paces so that I can actually experientially change, not just learn about it. So, that's what I've been doing the last several years. And so let me pull that back around to the end of this conversation, which is because of that work, my ex-husband could come over yesterday with his 5-year-old son that was conceived during our marriage while I was still taking care of my daughter in the hospital. He was making another baby, right? So given that he could come over yesterday and we can have a great time. Listen, all of the things that had me marry him, all of the things that I love about him, I still love about him. I just can be present to them now when for a long time I wasn't present to them at all. So that's the joy and the newness and the freedom that putting these things in place will give you. Okay? There's probably a lot more. I'm going to throughout the week, every week, be on with short conversations, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes they'll be longer. If they're going to be longer, I'll probably save them for a Friday. But short conversations where I'm going to share about myself and then give you some tools or some insight or something to think about. If you look at your life and you're thinking, I got a lot of forgiveness that I probably could dig into, but I'm not ready, or I haven't done that, or I don't know how, or I don't think I could ever forgive anybody like that. I got it. It's fine. That's where you're at today. And I will tell you, if somebody had said this to me 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I knew about the affair, but was doing nothing about it, I would have said, are you kidding me? I took a lot of joy out of pointing out how awful it was for me. There's no joy in that now. Now the joy comes from the three of us having dinner together and talking about my girl who passed away. We all miss her. We all love talking about her. And that's another thing. Maybe I'll do that on the next live, is how to get out of grief. How do you get out of grief and not stay stuck, especially when you've had a child die? Because that's, in our culture, we're trained to think that's not supposed to happen. But guess what? Life isn't paying attention to how our culture is dealing with it. Life is just doing its thing. So getting out of grief, whether it's your child or anybody else. But the fact that we could do that. So if that's you, thank you, Jody. You know what? So Jody, if you can't see, because this is streaming in multiple places, Jody is saying the work that I do is miraculous, and it is. Thank you, and it is so a lot because Jody, what the work you've done with me has allowed me to break through, and that's really what coaching is. I don't know what you all think about coaching these days, but to me, it's someone who has the tools and the wisdom that I didn't yet have. Jody had it. She also had the insight and the amazing ability to speak it to me in a way that I could get it. So a good coach is someone who's already done the thing before you, who already knows what it feels like and looks like, and knows how to deliver it so that you can get it, and can also see where your gaps are. A good coach can see where your gaps are. And I'm grateful to say I'm a really good coach too. I'm a really good coach in those things. Courtney is on right now and she's been a client of mine, but in being able to see where you're at and where your gaps are is huge. So if you're like, you know what, I'm tired of trying to create my life on top of the past. I'm tired of trying to pretend I'm okay and ready for love when I'm really stuck in anger. I'm tired of my body hurting. I'm tired of not sleeping well. I'm tired of digestive issues. I'm tired of yelling at my kids. Whatever it is, send me a message. Thanks, Courtney. Courtney's saying yes. She's thankful for me. I'm thankful for you too. I'm thankful really that this gets to be my journey. You know, this is my journey and it's a gift and a privilege, and it's because of what I've already overcome. It's because of my alcoholic childhood. I wasn't an alcoholic as a child, but my dad was. And having that experience and then making decisions in my life based on growing up that way, those were the decisions that kept bringing me the lessons I needed to get. And the experiences of those decisions, the experience of my daughter, the experience of my husband, all of it is what has gotten me here. And I am super, super grateful that I get to do this now, because it makes everything from that time, from all the times of my life, be purposeful and make a difference. And that's what's possible for you too. You may not want to coach other people, but I know because you're a human being that you want to live connected from your heart. I know that you want to make a difference, even if it's just in your own life, in your own world of the people that you love the most. I know you want to feel like you have purpose. And I know you want to feel like the events of your life actually brought something good, not just heartache, because you're a human being. That's what we all want. I don't have to know you or what happened to you to understand that. So drop me a message if you're interested on all the different ways that I work with people, because there are a lot of different ways. Even if you're just like, look, I want to get a deeper dive into my spirituality. I want to understand how I can connect. I'm a whole life coach, which is one of my credentials or certifications, but that particular one is very spiritual. That is a constant connection between God, between light and love, and you and me, our heart, and the spirituality of this life that we're living. So maybe it's just that you want to dig into. I don't know what it is, but it's January 2nd, and here we are. And, you know, if there's any questions I can answer for you, let me know. Okay. And let's see. So I'll be back live a few times this week to do other little snippets. If there's things that you want to talk about on any of those, how do I change my beliefs? How do I release my emotions? How do I connect to my spirituality? How do I dig into the level of forgiveness that you're talking about? How do I do any of those things? Ask me. Okay. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon. And yeah, I'll just check in all these other places if you've left any messages. Okay. Have a wonderful, happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, follow, or leave a kind review. If you are ready to truly leave an overwhelmed life of stress and struggle behind and live as God intended, whole, joyful, and connected, please reach out or go to lindadowneycoaching.com, my website, for more information. Give yourself some grace and kindness today and every day, and I hope to see you on the next episode of The Unconditioned Life.